Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved custom scenarios. The one we're going to play today actually did make it into October's featured tree. It is called Masks We Wear, which I don't really know what it's about, so it's going to get interesting. Where are you? You're here somewhere, I know you are, don't lie to me. There it is. On the second page, only 3 stars, yet somehow it made it up there. Very interesting. By Original Sparkster. Be aware this is my first custom scenario. A new archaeological where has just been discovered. A new civilization in the Middle East, and the ruins of which seem to be filled with mummies all wearing unusual masks. The reason of these masks are unknown by the public. The masks are in fact not masks, but special skeletal structures made by a horrible disease. One that has just infected its first human, with a possessive comma there, after 3,500 years. Will modern-day science stop this disease from killing humanity? Why do you guys even ask these questions if you already know the answer? Alright, let's go ahead and down this one and give it a shot. Okay, so we have a horrible disease that is causing some sort of plated bone growths over the face? I have no idea. Sounds interesting, though. Bacteria, metabolic jump, genetic mimic, aquatic extremophile, and symptostasis. Typical lineup there. Normal difficulty, death masks. New civilization discovered. In the Middle East, scientists claim they found an ancient city full of masked mummies. This find, they claim, will change world history, but the masks are actually bone. They've concluded the mysterious masks that have been found on every mummy in this newly discovered ancient city are all made of bone. What this means for now, we have no idea. We found it in Afghanistan. Does Afghanistan count as the Middle East? I don't think so. I mean, it's not like it's in the, it's not a part of the Indian subcontinent, but when I think of the Middle East, I think of this general region. I don't know if Afghanistan counts. Does it? Maybe it does. I don't know. The Middle East has always been kind of an amorphous, like, concept for me. It's not really a continent or an actual region like Europe and, Asia or whatever. It's all part of Asia, basically. So how does that actually work? It's just kind of whatever we've decided that it means. Transmissions. Looks like we have nothing but normal things in there. Symptoms. Aha! Rash. A strange rash appears on the infected's face, starting around the forehead. Okay, I'll pick it up, though it's not actually worth much of anything. That leads to rash 2. Spreads to the upper cheek. Increased itching causes mild discomfort. And for our abilities, we have the typical cold, heat, and drug resistance and bacterial resilience. Nothing new there. So it looks like this is going to be a symptoms-only customization run, which I suppose is okay. Afghanistan is considered to be arid and poor. So that's all I've got to work with as far as what kind of transmissions we want. I guess we want to go for the air transmission still. Will be very helpful to spread in Afghanistan and get to some of the other neighboring arid regions like Central Asia. China, apparently, is desert on the west? I guess it is. Why am I questioning that? I knew that. I have no idea. Whatever. Anyway, okay. Do we want to go for the blood for the poor transmission? Probably not. Instead, I'm going to go for insects, knowing that as soon as we go down south, that'll be some extra transmission in the hot regions. Then we'll go to symptoms, and we'll work on to rash 2, which leads to rash 3. Spreads across the entire face. Increased scratching can cause bleeding. Very severe. Good to know. Yeah, there's not much else we need aside from just more transmissions here, then. I kind of want to go for the bird transmission. Extra land transmission could be helpful right now. Help me spread out of here a little bit faster. We are in Iran. We've gotten into China, which is good. Hefty amount of population. We can enjoy the DNA from there. Yeah, I think now that I'm thinking about it, like, really a huge portion of China is practically unlivable and very sparsely populated. I mean, I got 1 billion frickin' people, but they're almost all along the coast. It's kind of cool, actually. Well, okay, it's cool in the sense that such a massive country can have such a concentrated population. Not so good for the people who are cramped in such tiny spaces. Anyway, Afghanistan is already trying to work on a cure. Well, I'm not too worried about what their scientists are going to be able to do. Good thing about starting off in a poor country is it pretty much doesn't do anything for them ever. Bone piercings. Due to a weird mutation, infected individuals may grow small bone spikes out from under their fingernails. Over-scratching can lead to bleeding out in rare cases. Tiny bit of lethality just from scratching yourself until you cut yourself to death, basically. Bone spikes from under their fingers? I expected the bones to be focusing around the face. So mutation chance suddenly becomes a bit of a liability because that is an unbelievable amount of severity. If we mutate this too quickly, I think we just straight up lose. So I do have to be a little bit cautious about that. I want to focus on getting things like some more air transmission, water transmissions, and so on. let's just focus on some of the basics. Also, some drug resistance would probably be pretty good soon as we start getting into wealthier places. We're not there yet, though, so I think we're fine. Also, not in any cold places yet, so... Well, now we're in wealthy and cold places. All right, we'll go for some drug resistance and some cold resistance. There's the bone piercings. Yeah, I need to get rid of that. Refund that now. That's way too much severity. It will lead to everyone shutting down their borders, which I am not a fan of that. I will become a vocal advocate for open borders if that were to happen. All right, let's go for some water transmission so we can have a better time getting into some of these island nations. Probably go for the extreme bioaerosol next. And then I think a bit more cold resistance is in order. We could go for some more drug resistance, level 2. Haven't made a lot of progress in Europe, so that probably is a worthwhile investment, especially since we're a little bit late getting into Canada. Since Afghanistan, it turns out, is not a very solid central starting location. I will pick up a level of bacterial resilience as well, and some livestock so we can spread a little bit faster in Russia to have a better chance of getting into Greenland. And then I'm going to hold on to my points, because we're going to need to save a lot of that to move on into the symptoms tree, and I have no idea how many more symptoms there are to go. It seems that this author has a tendency to ramp up the severity and, rather rapidly, and maybe we'll do the same thing with lethality. I'm not too sure yet. There's the bone piercings, though. We're still missing the Caribbean as an island, but everything else is more or less under control. That leads to bone claws. Bone claw is ready. That was a terrible impression. The bone nails have turned into a bone claws. Infected will now claw their eyes out and attack doctors and nurses, decreasing the research speed slightly. Surprisingly, only slightly. You'd think that attacking the research doctors would be a bit of a problem for them. But no, it barely affects them at all. We're going for the extra urban transmission to spread faster in the United States, since I have points to work with, and we need to get into the Caribbean. Don't need bacterial resilience. No, I think we're okay on that. Let's just hold on to our points for a minute. Oh, there's the Caribbean. Okay, now I feel comfortable continuing down the symptoms. Let's get the bone claws. That leads to horns 1. Accelerated bone growth leads to infected growing demon-like horns. The pain can increase aggression. All right. Horns 2. Increased horn growth causes random horn types to grow. Some can grow back into the infected's own skull. Yikes. Skullquakes. Accelerated bone growth leads the skull to form new plates. These plates break away from the original skull, causing bleeding and skin tearing. Are we in every country? We're missing Bolivia and Morocco right now. Don't anticipate that's going to be a problem for long, though, so we're okay. Skullquakes it is, and that leads to partial masks. The sped-up bone growth leads to partial mask-like protrusion of pure bone. Question, why did that max out my infectivity? That doesn't make sense. It makes sense from a severity perspective, maybe even lethality, but increasing infectivity? No. And this is where I start to wonder if the author was worried that the player might not have enough infectivity. It's like, I'll just throw you the rest of you, guarantee you've infected the rest of the world by the time you're ready to click the button. Sounds great, but probably a little OP. I would rather be forced to slow my roll down the symptoms and actually play the game properly, get my transmissions up and running, infect the whole world like I usually would, and then enjoy the rewards of maximum lethality from the bone masks. The final stage causes massively accelerated bone growth. This leads to full bone masks to be created. Killing the infected surprisingly costs no DNA. That's a little OP. We're going to wait until we've actually managed to infect the rest of the world, though, because if we've maxed out lethality, then I don't have any corpse transmission that would... Oh, wait. Devolve. That will ruin my game. Sounds great at first, doesn't it? It's like, hey, max lethality, let's just win the game. No. It's a trap. All right, now we can go for the bone masks with the world infected. We should see our lethality spike up, and the whole world instantly dies. Wow, see, and that's why I had to quickly devolve. Yeah, that's not good mechanics right there. Partly because if we mutated that and didn't react quickly enough, we would have instantly lost the scenario. Right? Mutation chance is a problem, guys. You got to remember that. That's a thing. I don't like usually, unless it makes sense like the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet, it doesn't make sense to have buttons that instantly ramp up your lethality. Usually. So try to stick away from those. I'd rather actually have some challenge in the scenario and have like an extra 30% lethality and just kind of actually have to run the course for the next couple of months or something. You know, don't take the challenge out of the game for the sake of your theme. That's just kind of cheap, you know what I mean? Death masks have eliminated all life on Earth. Okay, 375 days, 66,833 points, 24% cure progress, 3 stars. All in all, that went pretty darn well. The theme of the scenario isn't bad. I think it's the execution that is lacking a little bit. I mean, I definitely don't mind the idea of everyone have some sort of disease that causes horrible mutations in, like, kind of a not cranial elephantitis, why am I saying that? Like a bone dysplasia kind of thing that gets everyone killed. I think that's a fine idea for a scenario. I think the execution of the symptoms just needs a bit of an improvement. Really, that's all it needs. Get rid of some of those kill the whole world in one-click buttons, you know. Actually ramp things up a little bit more evenly, and all in all, I think this could be okay. Also, I'd like to see some more customization when it comes to transmissions and stuff, but we can work with it. I can forgive that one because it is a bacteria that's infecting the world, right? So it doesn't have to be all that unique. It's fine. Anyway, all right. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.